Hi, angels. Oh, wait. That was such a abrupt, straightforward way to start that. Okay. Hi, angels, and welcome back to my channel. So, today, I want to talk about something that everyone should know. This is more relevant to everyone's lives. What we're talking about today is going to be about love. Everyone in this world wants to be loved. Everyone. And that's valid because this world literally runs on love. Without love, this world wouldn't exist. And some people might counter back that claim and say, well, that can't be true because in this world, there's so much hatred and chaos and war. So just by love existing, how can it heal the world? How can the world rely on love if everywhere you go, it seems like the world is run by chaos and hatred? But last video I talked about how creation is one of the greatest gifts and the biggest thing that the world could have ever created. Without creation, you wouldn't even exist. Anything wouldn't be able to exist. Without creation, life, your life in general would cease to exist. So I see creation as something that's above war, something that's above all of these constructs and different things we have in the world. But without love, creation wouldn't exist. And you might say, how is that true? Well, the way I see creation, no one asked to be born. We didn't have to bargain with God in order to come to this earth. Some of us didn't even want to come. Some of us probably didn't even want to come on this earth, It just, poof, it happened. And I see that as the greatest act of love because it happened without a transaction, without a bargain, without God saying, well, if you come on this earth, you have to be good. If you come on this earth, you have to worship me and love me. There wasn't any bargain, there wasn't any transaction, there wasn't anything that you had to give to be created. You just came on this earth, you didn't ask for it. And I see that as the greatest act of love because to me, the way I see love, true love is love for the sake of, without a transaction, without some type of, you do this for me and I'll give you love. No, love is for the sake of. And that is what makes it so pure, is that its existence isn't dependent on a transaction or what you give or what you do or don't. It exists just for the sake of, just like happiness and all these high vibrational, really good emotions. Happiness in its purest form, love in its purest form is when it exists for the sake of. And I want to talk about love today, because I realized that most people, the reason why our life is so chaotic, when we really break it down to the simplest forms, it's because we don't have love, or we have yet to discover love, because love is all around us. Actually, love is inside of us too. We are love. We just have forgot who we really are. These videos isn't me trying to tell you how to gain love. And these videos, all of these videos, I would say the overall theme is me reminding you that you are love. You are that abundance. I don't have to give it to you. You already are. You just forgot. And so I'm just a person holding up a mirror, just showing you who you are. Just trying to remind you who you are. And the reason why I say everything we do is because we want love. It's because, well, I'll give you an example. A common example, I'm going to use the same example I used in my last video of how a lot of people, they're endlessly chasing a goal. And there's nothing wrong with setting goals. I have a goal, for example, I make these videos. I have a goal of how I want my channel to look like, what I want to do with my YouTube community. I have goals. But it gets kind of weird when people equivalent them completing a goal to their worth or how much love they deserve or should deserve, That's when it gets toxic. But people don't realize that they do this, set these endless goals and do all these things because they are chasing love. They are on this endless search of love because they don't realize that, yes, love's outside of you, right? But to be receptive of it, you also have to have love inside of you. And this is how it works. You're the ultimate perceiver of your life. It doesn't mean that your existence determines other people's existence. It doesn't mean that. It just means that your emotions dictates the way you interact and you experience life. The default state of the world is love. Simply because a creation exists. Simply because the world just is. It doesn't have a reason to be. It just is. Love just is. Creation just is. There's no reason for it to exist other than love. It just is. You're in this world. You didn't ask to be here. You just are, right? I see that as love. You didn't have to earn your existence. You were just granted it. And that literally is love. Giving you something without you even earning it. No transaction needed. So love is literally all around us. You look at the trees, you look at the clouds. Some people may hear this and be like, what is she talking about? Like, all I experience is chaos, right? But I'm telling you, honestly, one day, go in the park, walk. Do not interact with your mind, meaning if your thoughts come, allow it, but don't add to it, don't feed it, observe it. And just be present in that silence. Be present, watch the trees, watch the clouds. You'll realize that the default experience or the default feeling of existence is just silence. Yes, there's chaos in the world. Yes, there's chaos, potentially chaos in your mind. Cool, whatever. But when you're able not to silence your thoughts, but allow it to naturally not multiply, allow it to naturally calm down, you realize that there's this inherent silence that the world naturally has. This is stillness, not silence, stillness, presence, oneness that the world, it naturally has. Default state, the natural state of the world is that stillness. And in that stillness, you find peace naturally. In that stillness, you find clarity and you find love and you find abundance naturally. Without taking any substances, without eating something that you really like, without being with a close friend that you love, you can find this love just by being still with yourself. Anyone can. And that is beautiful. That's what the world offers. That stillness, that peace. And so, yes, the default state of this world is love. But like I said, you have to be in tune with it to experience it. You don't experience love in this world not because there isn't it, but because you don't allow yourself to experience it. And that's something that you have to work within yourself to allow yourself to experience the love in this world. But now, since we talked about that portion, you have to understand that that was a prerequisite to what I'm about to say now. So we already covered how there's love is the default state of this world. But I want to talk about how to love like God. And I already gave you an example of how God, whatever you want to call the ultimate creator, the omnipresent being, the universe, whatever you want to call that omnipresentness, that I am. I like to say I am, If you see in my title with Akira Avalon, I say I am the I am. Because that's like the most powerful, timeless phrase to me in this universe. We already covered that God loves without transaction. The love is just love, for the sake of. And I want to talk about how you can love like God. And also before I say that, I also want to mention how a lot of people, Christians, Muslims, a lot of religious believers believe that for God to be pleased, you have to worship him. But I believe that the biggest worship isn't saying hallelujah and clapping your hands and reading the Bible. I believe the biggest form of worship is loving people. When you love, automatically there's benefits. One, when you're filled with love, you feel great. There's less chaos in your mind. You feel free. When you're able to love other people, you uplift uplift their spirits. When you are able to love and cater to the environment with you, you grow it. Not just physically, right? But when you tell, if you're in a park, and this is, I truly believe this, but if you have a high vibration and you're just admiring the beauty of the park and just being one with everything there, the plants and the trees and everything, just, they fall in this harmonious rhythm. I don't know how to explain it, but I've experienced something kind of like this, where I'm just still and I feel this, not oneness, but I just feel so grateful for everything around me. I feel like this harmonious, like, wow, I'm so grateful for the trees. Like, it's like this feeling. And that love replenishes the world. It replenishes everything. So that's why I think that's the highest form of worship, because when you are in that high vibration of love, you can replenish not only yourself, but the world around you. You're upkeeping the earth, the space that God has created for you to dwell in. So why wouldn't that not be the highest form of worship? Like, I believe it is. But now, let's get to the real tea and juice of it all. Everyone wants to know how to love. Everyone. Even the most stoic person. People that put up that facade, like, I'm so tough, they're only really acting like that because they want love, but they're afraid to get close to people. They have that shield. They want love. Those are the people, actually, that want love the most. The people that are mean, stoic, that has that cold front, they're doing it not because they hate people, but protection. They probably got hurt in the past, so that they are protecting themselves from the very thing that they yearn. Love like God, so that you can allow love to come to you. Because in order to allow love to come to you, you have to know how to love. Because if you are just being the one that's not giving it out, I see that as some type of manipulation. And that doesn't mean that you intend to manipulate, but imagine a person just only taking love, and never giving it out. I see that as selfish. And that doesn't mean that you have to give all your savings out, right? But to feel love, you have to understand how to give it out, okay? It goes together. The best way for me to explain what love is to tell you what love isn't. And I know this far too well because I've experienced the isn't part of love. The most common ways that people show love, the fake sense of love, not what love really is through obsession and through avoidance. So with obsession, people think this is love because they believe that, well, if I'm obsessed with you, in control of you, not really in control, because that is an illusion. You are never in control of anyone. But when people believe that love is ownership rather than partnership, it creates this very weird dynamic. When you obsess over someone, you're basically saying that for some reason I don't trust this person, usually due to my own past hurtful experiences, but I don't trust this person. So because I don't trust them, I'm going to overly obsess over them, overly text them. I'm going to try to possess them because I want to control them. I feel like in order for them to love me properly, I have to control them. I have to know exactly what they're doing, who they're texting, what are they watching on their phone, for them to reciprocate true love to me. When you do that, you are communicating to yourself and your partner that I don't believe that you can love me just out of the will of your own, beingness. I believe that your love is because I'm in control. I'm controlling you. Without my control, without me owning you and possessing you, you won't give me love. So I have to obsess. I have to control. I have to protect this love. I have to protect my safety. I have to protect my emotional stability in this relationship. I have to control it because if I don't, if I let go, you won't love me anymore, or everything will just go out of whack. you would do something very devastating to hurt this relationship. I have to control it. I have to control it. And when you are extremely avoidant to your partner, they text you and you purposely take an hour to text back. They tell you that they genuinely love you and you love them too, but instead of reciprocating that love and showing them how you truly feel, you hide it. You don't really do kind gestures towards them, not because you don't want to, but you believe that if you do kind gestures to them, they're not going to return it. So instead, you take all their love because you love them, but you're afraid to reciprocate it. Obviously, this is a spectrum, as some people say. I don't really think it truly is a spectrum. I see all of these avoidant, anxious, all of these attachment styles as it's either obsession or avoidance. And then there's a middle ground, but I see it as that type of spectrum. So when you're avoidant, this is also a way of controlling the relationship. But you're controlling the relationship by avoiding it because you believe that if I avoid it, I won't get hurt. You're basically preparing yourself mentally and physically for them to leave because you're saying to yourself, oh, they're going to leave anyways. I love them, but I believe they're going to leave anyway. So I'm going to be avoidant to shield myself for the future of this hurt. So you realize how both of these toxic attachment styles, they're rooted in control. They're rooted in feeling like this person is going to leave you, that they're going to betray you, but they manifest in different ways. But it's the same feeling of this person is going to betray me. They don't really love me. I have to control them for them to love me. It's that same foundational belief that holds these attachment styles. But then the secure attachment, the healed attachment, true love knows that I trust this person and I don't have to control. True love communicates that it's not my control that establishes this relationship. It's the love itself. The love that me and my partner mutually have together is establishing this relationship. So I don't have to control it. I don't need to control it. The love is holding it together. That is a secure attachment style. A secure attachment style has no need for control. And this, obviously, this sounds more romantic, but you could apply this in not only romantic relationships, but relationships with your parents, with your friends. Obviously, they're manifested in different ways. There's different types of love, but it still has that foundational way of interacting with the relationship, knowing that control isn't the thing holding this relationship. The love is holding this relationship. So I don't have to be obsessive, nor do I have to be avoidant. I can feel free to give love to this person without feeling that they're going to betray me, feeling that they're going to throw it in my face. I can freely love them. That right there is true love, not control. And another aspect of love isn't ownership, it is partnership. Usually when we're talking about romantic relationship, we always regard it in this way of ownership. I own them. I don't like to use the word ownership because what we really need to say is partnership. A ownership, to own someone, usually isn't because they want you to own them. When you own something, that thing isn't really free. Think about everything you own. Own is possession of, you own it. It doesn't really have free will of its own. That's why I think when I think of ownership. Partnership is mutual. It's a mutual understanding. It's a mutual agreement. Ownership feels too tense. Partnership feels fluid and it flows. It feels beautiful, I never call my relationship an ownership because we don't have to own each other for us to experience love. It's a partnership. It's a mutual agreement. We aren't in love because of a transaction. We aren't in love because we're bargaining with each other. The love isn't, I only love you if you do this very specific thing. And if you don't, I'm going to spit on you and treat you like dirt. And this doesn't mean that with love doesn't come with certain expectations and standards of how you should treat your partner, right? That's not what I'm referring to. I'm just referring of like a transaction. I don't love my partner because of a transaction. there's no ownership. It's a partnership. It's an agreement. It's nothing to do with owning. That's love. And I'm going to reiterate this, but having expectations of how your partner should treat you isn't the problem. The problem is how you go about these expectations, because when you are in a secure attachment style, let's just be under the impression that your partner is the right one. He or she is genuinely giving you love. Those expectations will meet naturally, not because you are controlling them to love you, not because you are obsessing over them with a pitchfork and saying, love me, not because you put like some type of link in their mind to program them to be robotic and attend to your needs. It's not because of that. It's because they genuinely love you. So they're going to meet these expectations, not because of a transaction, but because for the sake of love. Just like how I was talking about how God loves us. It's not because of a transaction. It's for the sake of love. I realized that love, it's such a beautiful thing because, like, for example, if you ask me, Akira, why do you love your partner? Why is he the one? I could tell you a list of characteristics that I love about him. He's smart, he's handsome, he makes me feel great. He's just amazing, right? But those characteristics, I admire and love those characteristics of him, but that's not the reason why I love him. Because if we're talking about objectively, in the world, there's probably a lot of smart people, a lot of attractive people, a lot of, brilliant, amazing people, right? But he specifically, it's something about his energy or of him specifically that when I'm with him, it just blends in such a harmonious way that I have never felt with anyone else. And how do you really explain it? Well, maybe I just explained it, but there's no specific reason why I could say I love him. It's just the love itself, the feeling. It's there. You could, like I said, you could list characteristics, but those characteristics will never explain why I love him. And I think that right there explains love. You could love a person because they're beautiful, because they're smart, because they make you feel good. But there's probably a bunch of other people in the world that meets those same requirements. Yet with that one person or that one friend or one parent, you feel that love. And that is what's so amazing with love. You can't really justify why you feel it. It just is. Same with God. Same with creation. You can't really justify what is creation. Well, we know what creation is, right? But why is creation? Why is God? That's so grammatically correct. But you guys, girls, angels, get my point. Why is God? Why is creation? Why does this exist? It just is. Same with love. And that's what makes it of God. I don't have to justify my love to you. I just love you. When you see an old lady, or let's not even use that specific example, right? That's because that's like an obvious example. You see an old lady down the street, you want to love them. But, see a random person, you just want to open the door for them. On the train, why? I don't know you. You don't know me. You probably did some horrific things in your life. I've probably done some horrific things in my life. Why do I want to open this door for you? Just 'cause. No other reason. Maybe it makes me feel good to do good, but honestly, just 'cause. It's that just isness that makes love so pure. Doesn't need a transaction, Yes, when I love you, or when you love me, I gain some things. You'll buy me things. I'll buy you things. We could say that's a transaction, but I'm not loving you for the things. I'm loving you because I want to love you. And that's what makes love so pure. That godliness of love. It just is. It just is. I want to make this channel, for example, and talk to you guys because I love humanity. I love humans. I've always have loved humans. I love humanity. Just is. I just love the world. I have this love for everything. I just love it. And it's no reason. It's just there. And I don't have to justify it. And that's what makes, like I said, love, that makes love so amazing. You know, it just is godliness. It's beautiful. Okay? I hope you enjoy this video and stay tuned for the next one. Bye, angels. Love you guys.